Don't fade me, bro. This is the WeWin Sports Podcast.
Hello, folks. Welcome to the WeWin Sports Podcast. It's March Madness. Today, we'll give our 30-second rants. We'll give our two best bets of the week. And we have one of the sharpest sports bettors in the world here with us. Hello, Alan Boston. I'll get to Alan in 1 minute. David Woodley started Speed Survivor. I invested $100,000 in Woodley as CEO founder. Website is speedsurvivor.com. Woodley has great knowledge and sharp takes. Brandon Cantu is a two-time World Series of Poker winner and has a World Poker Tour title as well. Cantu always has some well-thought-out takes. Mike the Mouth Matusow is a four-time World Series of Poker winner. Mike knows sports, studies sports, and watches more games than all of us combined. Alan Boston is generally regarded as the best long-standing college sports bettor in the world. Welcome, Alan. Alan, first, we have to try to have you on next week. Second, can you give us your top four March Madness picks? Now, that can be this weekend or can be long-term. Alan Boston, what a treat. A poker player, genius at sports. I love it. I'm proud of you. What do you got for us, Alan Boston?
You're proud of me. Oh, God.
Hyperbole
is unrelenting. So part one, yes, I'll actually be in Vegas next week, so you can actually have me live if you guys do it in Vegas.
We'd love to.
We'd love to do that. The four top picks, I will have to look at the lines. But you know what? I told Cantu the story, and he told me I had to repeat it, and I think you guys will enjoy this. So the last time I saw Mike was at the World Series of Poker 2 years ago. He happened to be in my right during the Stud Hi-Lo tournament. And it was nice to see Mike again because Mike, one of the best hearts of anyone I've ever met. Unfortunately, I had to see him win every hand and have him listen to me tell me how great he played every hand. But I might not be the greatest Stud Hi-Lo player in the world, but in my eyes, he basically butchered every hand. But it was, if it all works out at the end, fine. So I had to hear how great he was as he misplayed them all. So thank you, Mike, for that. As I folded every hand.
Love you, Alan.
Alan coming in hard with the needle.
Cantu told me you guys would enjoy that little story. So on to the bets. Yeah, Mike, do 6-8 isn't a hand and 8 or better. I just want to tell you that.
I know that.
What pisses you off the most about the tournament when you look and you see the bracket come out? What is the one thing that pisses you off the most?
For 25 years, and West Virginia has followed up on it. For 25 years, I'm the one guy that has said that this is entirely corrupt. So basically, there's $1 billion TV contract here, and you get people in a closed door room with big money involved. It's like our government. Our government fucks us over, robs all our money, and gets it to all the right places. And that's exactly what they do in this NCAA tournament every year.
He's right.
To get the money to the right place. If people were saying North Carolina wasn't in, and there was some lineup someone told me, which I tried to bet, that they were like plus 350 that they wouldn't make the tournament. Like they're 100% going to make the tournament. They sell 1 trillion tickets. They sell a lot of gear. And it's North Carolina. They were in. It doesn't matter what they did. They could.
That's true.
In the court, in the middle of the game, and oh yeah, you're in North Carolina. It's 100%, maybe not 100% corrupt, but if 1% is corrupt, that's the same as 100% in my eye because I'm kind of old school like that. So yeah, when there's big money involved, it's just fuck the mid majors at every opportunity. Every rule change favors the high profile teams. All this conference realignment is to try to get them to like 3 or 4 big conferences, and then they'll break away from the NCAA. And they're actually going to sabotage themselves because what they don't understand is the NCAA tournament is people remember the Cinderella. They remember the underdog. They root for the underdog. They talk about the underdog. Everyone remembers George Mason's run to the Final Four and Sister Jean Oil Chicago's run to the Final Four and Butler's back-to-back finales. All the Cinderella stories when Gonzaga was Cinderella before they crossed over into big names them. They were the talk of the town. It's not when Kentucky wins it. Who gives a shit? It's Cinderella, and they're going to eliminate all that at some point, and they won't have a tournament. They're going to have a bunch of big name teams playing each other, and they're going to have a ratings disaster. That's my prediction. And hopefully it happens in my lifetime so I can tell you I told you so. But
Alan Boston, we do rants on the show. Your rant was incredible.
Yeah, there's Alan's rant.
Incredible.
Everything is just bullshit. Everything's about money. Like, they're destroying the Amazon, and these people claim they're worried about the fucking environment. Like, what, really?
It's true.
Let's plow down trees with solar panels. What are trees doing? Carbon out of the air, you morons.
Alan, what's your opinion of the SEC getting 14 of 16 teams?
Mike, stop. Let's be more specific. Mike, please don't
All
try
right,
to control the show.
Well, more rants.
Here's what I want to hear from you, Alan.
Nut job, so one thing could lead to another.
You said that Gonzaga was the most misrated team, and tell us why that is.
Yes.
What's their seed, and what were they supposed to be?
How'd you hear that?
Twitter.
Cantu said he saw one of your tweets.
So I have power ratings. It's like a golf handicap. That's how I like to compare, because people understand golf handicaps. Because if a scratch golfer shoots 80, he's still a scratch golfer. He just had a bad round. And if a big favorite loses outright, they're still going to be a big favorite the next game. That's what people have to remember. So power ratings are how good a team is, and the fact that all these ratings waver because a team lost a game or won a game, it's complete nonsense. Their ratings ain't changing. They are who they are, and that's it. It's not like, there's the occasional team that starts 5 freshmen, but that doesn't exist anymore. That would have got better as the year went on. And yes, some teams get better as the years get on, but at some point of the year, the teams establish what level they're going to play to, and that's who they are. So all this nonsense about quad 1 wins and quad 2 wins, that's just their way of getting the teams they want in the tournament. But notice what happened with North Carolina when they talk about how quad 1 wins are important, and they go 1-12 in a game that UCLA just handed to them. They never should have won that game either. They changed the rules. So they make up all this shit. There was one year UCLA got in because they passed the eye test. That's what the hell said. 100% bullshit. I have Gonzaga rated where they'd be a 2 seed. That's what their power rating is. That's typically where it is, by the way. Under Mark Few, they've been a very highly rated team.
Why, Alan, why do you think that Gonzaga lost so many games this year?
It hasn't changed because they had a couple bad losses this year. They played UCLA in a neutral. They had the flu and lost that game. They were down one of their good players. They played Connecticut in Madison Square Garden, where they're never going to win, going West Coast, East Coast against that team. They didn't win that. So, they did blow Baylor out in a game that mattered, and they had another loss that was, they're not as good as they once were, but that doesn't mean they're an 8 seed. It's fucking Gonzaga. It's Mark Few. And at worst, even if I had them slightly overrated, they could be a 3 seed. That's the worst they could be, because that's the worst they could always be. They're always going to be 1 to 3 seedish. So it's never going to change until Mark Few retires.
Alan, hearing you talk is so refreshing, because when someone speaks the truth about something, it's always, and someone's world class, like you've spent your life on this. It's very refreshing. So thank you so much for this. Now, I don't know what Gonzaga's odds are to make the Final Four, but you might. But if it's a nice number, I'm going to take a cue from you and bet it. But Alan, give us your best 3-4 bets.
Well, I don't know. They got a really tough draw too. On top of it all, they really fucked them over. But
wow,
their second round is a little rugged because they're an 8 seed. The whole thing's ridiculous.
You got to play the 1 always.
They probably can't win, but they're definitely misseeded. Okay. Everyone's misseeded. Like, they didn't even come close. Anyway, that's the shtick. There's ratings that I make. They're pretty accurate, and if they're not pretty accurate, they're very close to accurate. So basically, whoever the best team is should be rated higher than the one below it. Not how many fucking quad 1 wins they had or how many bad losses they have.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
You used to always tell me that Mark Few was one of the best coaches. Now it's been like 10 years since I've talked to you about this.
Let's not go down the Gonzaga rabbit hole.
I just wanted to ask him where he had him ranked. That's all, just a one-word answer.
Okay, Cantu, why don't you ask 4 questions no one wants to hear, and then we'll move on.
That's a great question.
Where do I have Gonzaga ranked?
No, Mark Few as a coach.
I think 6th in the country. Mark Few was most coaches. I have no idea. He's up there. He's really good. Yeah. They were nothing. They're going back to Dan. I can go on the whole Gonzaga history with Dan Fitzgerald, who started that motion offense there, and he's a trickle down effect from that. But that's not what you want to hear, really.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. No, he's really good. He's really good. He's up there.
Go ahead, Phil.
The best coach in the country is at Cal San Diego. All right. Now Eric Olin, he's the best coach in the country. He worked miracles at a brutally tough academic school with D2 transfers and JUCOs. They're playing to a mid-tier Big Ten rating. That's the best coach in the country, bar none. That's who UNLV should hire.
What team is he coaching now?
What do you watch them play? They're amazing.
UCSD.
Oh, you okay?
Is that the one that Woodley gave us, UCSD, to make the final?
Yeah, Woodley, tell Boston the bet you made and see what he thinks of it, because I'm curious.
80-1, they'd make the Final Four, Woodley?
Yeah, we got it 80-1 and 90-1. Yeah, UCSD. A lot of the we were on it a few weeks ago. What's crazy is it hasn't really moved much. Which
because
gives me a little bit of
probably
pause.
not even it's probably not a bargain to make the Final Four.
Yeah, 90-1.
And the second round ain't so bad either. Yale, Texas A&M, they can certainly win that game. But what's the third round? I don't look at brackets. I have Florida at 40-1 to win the whole thing. So I'm in actually in good shape.
I love your bet. I love your bet.
40-1.
But once
I think you got the best
bet it in
team.
November. You bet it in November. You bet it before everyone knows how good they are. That's usually a good idea.
Well, I don't know if Florida's the best team, Mike.
People like betting the obvious. Oh my God, how good are they? No, it's not how good. It's how good are they going to be, or how bad are they going to be, and then it happens.
All right, Alan, give us your number one bet for the weekend.
I have no idea. I don't know. I bet a bunch of them. Let me see what the lines are. I do like San Diego State quite a bit tonight. I don't know if that's number one, but
San Diego
let me
State
see number
tonight.
one would be.
Okay.
Oh, they play tonight.
Yeah, San Diego State. So that's so North Carolina's kind of beating the teams they're supposed to, and one might think that, all right, well, here's a team they're supposed to beat, and maybe that's true. But San Diego State made the final game, I believe, recently. The coach is amazing. The North Carolina coach is a complete moron. So you have a complete coaching mismatch on short prep, which heavily favors San Diego State. They get their big guy back tonight, who's massively important because they got destroyed on the boards against Boise. Rim protectors are the number one most important thing in basketball.
Yeah.
Their style is much more prevalent. You get North Carolina in a half-court game, and they get very, very lost. And I think San Diego State has a very good chance to win tonight. So I think that's a really good one. And my power rating is 1.5 on it. So it's quite a bit off my number.
What's
2 points off the number is usually good enough to make it
4.5, Mike. I just bet it as we're talking. Okay. As we're talking, when Alan Boston says he likes a team, so I took the 4.5 points tonight for that one. Alan,
you can buy 5 minus 20. If you could buy half a point for 10 cents, it's even better. But I'm not going to get into the math of that. That'll be
okay.
Way too not what we need. Yeah. So what else can I give out here? I don't know if this one I'm not for, but I'll throw it out there just because it's an interesting analysis. So the highest level that anyone has is their instinct. When you play center field in a baseball game, the ball's hit. You're not calculating the angle it comes off the bat. You don't know the velocity of it comes off the bat. The ball's hit, you go get it. Walking is a very complex motion. You forget that you fell for 6 months, 9 months before you figured out how to walk. Yet you do it without a thought in the world. So that is the highest level you can achieve is your instinct. You instinctively walk. You instinctively get on a bike. You instinctively go for the ball in center field. Whatever it is, you do it without thought. You cannot beat that. My gut is telling me that Kansas will destroy Arkansas. So now what is my subconscious telling me? Your subconscious is coming from some memory, some parallel game that you've seen in the past. It's telling me something that my number, which by the way is 4.5, exactly what it is. So I'd never even dream of betting it, but my gut is telling me you must bet Kansas. So now I think about it a little bit. So Kansas had 2 wins early in the year. They played Duke on a neutral court and beat them. How good's that? Mm-hmm. They beat Michigan State on a neutral early in the year. So when they played at home against big name teams, they had Houston beat, and then they gave it away because Bill Self isn't the smartest coach that ever walked the face of the earth. But they also played Arizona at home, beat them. They played Iowa State at home and beat them. They kind of played to the level when they wanted to play to a high level. Arkansas, on the other hand, kind of stumbled into a good finish because Boogie Flan got hurt. He's their point guard. He's their stud point guard, supposedly. But when he got hurt, they had to go to this Florida Atlantic transfer who they paid $1 million for, and the team got a lot better because no longer did they have a ball hog. They had a kid who actually ran good offense. And Calipari couldn't fuck that up, although he could fuck almost anything up. He couldn't fuck that up. The guy's a really good point guard. Anyway, long story short, Fland is back for this tournament. Now, earlier in the year when Arkansas played against tougher competition, a la Illinois, who ran them out of the gym, and others of that ilk, they could not match up with them talent-wise or actually coaching-wise. And Kansas has elite talent and the ability to play a level where they're beating Duke on a neutral and Michigan State on a neutral. I think they're going to absolutely crush Arkansas. That's what I think my gut's telling me. So I'll throw that out there just because the whole instinct thing is kind of cool, I think, to listen to. It's a different take on it.
You're preaching to the choir.
Always good. We'll go with that.
This is a
You're
big
preaching
instinct.
to the choir
yeah.
on the instinct thing. And by the way, I just bet my maximum bet as we're talking. The nice thing about this show is as I'm listening to your amazing pick, I just bet the maximum on Kansas.
That's great. I don't want to hear it after.
Alan, in breaking news that you might appreciate, I know Cantu will appreciate.
No, go back to the instinct. So you play poker a lot on instinct, right? You would say I kind of just knew it.
Exactly.
If you did something awkward that the pros will tell you, you're a fucking moron. Well, no, I'm not. I was right.
Well, you
Because
know
my
what, Alan?
instinct was right.
Speaking of instinct, in these matches where I played all these great players and all the bracelets I've won, it comes down to one thing, you know, and that's when you think they're weak. And if you think they're weak, you can do anything. And so my timing, the hands I would use.
You think they're weak on a different level. You're not thinking they're weak sometimes, not even logically, just on a level you've seen something before that they're doing. There's something that triggered that thought of yours, and that's your subconscious, which is the most powerful thing you have.
Correct.
That's why
I'm Phil Hellmuth.
Resonate with you. That
If it was a math contest, I would lose. If it came down to solvers and all that bullshit, I would lose. I've never used a solver in my life. They still have to look at me.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
They still have to play against
Solvers,
me.
you can call it King 6, but not King 5. Okay, good luck to all of you.
I agree.
Right? I mean, people forget that the solver is playing against a computer, not against a human. So who gives a fuck what the solver says?
Exactly.
Yeah, if it teaches you why it does it, good. But you can't play like a solver because a solver is assuming it's playing against computers. It doesn't work. Anyway, the best bet I have, I think, is probably Grand Canyon.
Grand Canyon. Okay, I'm betting
Against
that.
Maryland. I think I took much better, but you can take 10.5, and that's fine. So Grand Canyon's kind of been. They had a great year last year. They actually won a first-round tournament game last year. I think they beat St. Mary's.
Yeah.
This is all off the top of my head, so I can't promise I'm 100% right, but I think I got that right. Yeah. It was Gonzaga that beat McNeese, and they beat St. Mary's, right? Okay. They look very good doing it. They have a lot of that team back this year, and they never really got healthy till the conference tournament this year. They had guys dinged up the entire year, including their best player for the last month. But now they're entirely healthy. They've been through this tournament before. Maryland, for some reason, according to the market makers, is some great team. I don't see it. They play in that overrated Big Ten. They never really had any great wins. Yeah, they smashed Illinois, but that's when Illinois had flu and their best player was out with mono, and they just completely imploded. That's their best win, but that was flawed. I think a lot of their wins are flawed. I think they're wildly overrated. I think Grand Canyon has a really good chance to win the game. So that line to me is outrageous. I'd be shocked if Grand Canyon doesn't cover 10.5.
I just bet 10.5. I made another max bet.
That's probably the best one.
Alan, you might laugh at me for as much money as I have that my max bet is like $2,000. Occasionally I'll go above that, but
why would I laugh at you? Why the fuck should you be betting a lot on this?
Yeah, but I fired 2,000. And by the way, if your picks don't work, I will never.
By the way, Phil, 2,000 is a lot of money.
I will never complain if your picks don't work, Alan.
When you're first starting, when you have no money in your pocket, how would you like to have $100 in your pocket? Never mind 2,000. So
you're right.
Like when I had a lot of money, that was my problem. I would bet 10,000 when I started when the market crashed, and I kind of went from a millionaire to broke in no time. I forgot that 10,000 is like a shit ton of money, and then I forgot that 3,000 is a shit ton of money. That's the biggest dilemma that people face. They start playing real big, whether it's sports or poker, and they go on a little losing streak, and they forget they forget what money is. They forget the reality of what money is.
Mike can relate.
I can relate. If we could just get Cantu to fucking buy into what you just said, Cantu's life will change.
I know what I'm talking about.
Well, Cantu can have $5,000. He'll sit down at a game with all of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the best.
Well, some of us were on the right side of the main event.
All right. Well, we need to click on our sponsor and we get out of here.
Woodley, you want to do a sponsor read?
Have you ever had your debit card decline at the worst moment, or maybe your PayPal account gets frozen and suddenly you're out of options to rebuy at a casino? Well, today's sponsor has your back. EdgeBoost is the first ever dedicated bank account for gamblers. That's right, 100% approval rate for sports betting, daily fantasy sports, casino, and sweeps, whether you're online or at a brick and mortar spot. But here's where it gets even better. With the EdgeBoost Visa debit card, you can move up $250K a day and earn cash back on every deposit and withdrawal. It's a no-brainer. Start earning today at edgeboost.bet. Once again, that's edgeboost.bet, and check for the links in our bios and posts.
All right, Alan, can you hang out with us as we give as hang out with us as long as you can? I know you have a time constraint here. We're going to give some of our picks. Feel free to kind of chime in with your thoughts at any time, and let me know if you have to go. All right, Woodley, what are your picks? And I'm interested in Alan's opinion.
Well, I'll give the picks, but I want to, if we would have recorded this on time, I would have given a pick that would have been a winner, which was Sean Perry minus 135. He just won. He knocked out that guy.
Did he really?
Yeah, dude.
What did they do? They had a fight?
Yeah, two Touts were fighting.
It was booked last night at 3 a.m. They flew out to Vegas. Des Bryant showed up. And you know what Dave Mason said from Bet Online?
Sean Perry, he's a work of art.
Mike, we're going to leave Sean Perry off.
Yeah, we're going to leave.
Is that was his dad a stud player?
Dude, you know Ralph Perry, dude. He played the high stakes mix with us all.
Yeah.
But it was Sean won.
They're the only two father-son combination in the history of poker that's hated.
Mike, stop. Woodley, give us your pick. You took us into a poker rabbit hole. Give us your pick.
Yes. The last thing I'll say on that, Dave Mason from Bet Online said more money was bet on that fight today than all the first 4 games combined tonight, which is crazy. That's crazy.
Wow.
Yeah,
what was the line?
Sean Perry
minus 135. But then it flipped. Anyways,
who was he fighting?
This guy named Mozzie.
Yeah.
Oh, Mozzie. He's another crazy.
Tout.
Yeah, okay.
Touts are scumbags. Anyone that goes to the tout. Just a quick note on touts. I didn't have $1 in my pocket. Literally, I'm not complaining. It's fine. It's okay to be broke. You find different joys. And a guy approached me and said, "You can make $100,000 this year if you want to sell picks. I'll handle the whole thing, and it's a minimum $100,000." I said, "You know what? I'd rather be homeless than be a tout, and I might just get my wish."
Well, that's a good PSA because I think that's
I'd
one
like
of the
to knock
things.
them both the fuck out.
Yeah, that's good. This is great content. Phil didn't want us going down this rabbit hole. We love it because you're saying this, not us. No, I agree though. I think that's actually an important thing. I think like people fall into the tout game a little bit too much. Like we give Mike crap all the time because Mike follows all of Steve Fezzik's paid plays. But tout buying
don't
picks
follow him. He's a fucking moron.
He's a total moron. These guys just like they like to throw him out there.
By the way, no way, Mike. That's Mike's idol. He listens to every one of Fezzik's podcasts, Boston.
And I bet against him on every one. That's why I lost this year.
Mike, you've been kissing Fezzik's ass the entire year.
Dude, you guys make up shit.
Don't even say that.
They make up shit. They just fucking come up with fucking shit out of the sky, and this is what they come up with.
You know what he does, Boston? Mike data scrapes the Fezzik podcast. He comes on and then he spews it off to all of us. What was happened on the Fezzik podcast and makes it be his own talk. It's amazing.
You guys are just fucking.
So Fezzik never had one original thought in his life. Everything he says is either obvious or copied.
Yeah.
Part 2 to this is the first time Fezzik was ever heard of was on the Sunday Night Starter show way back when. The Patriots were playing Carolina in the Super Bowl. They had me on for college basketball, but the Super Bowl was the next Sunday, and they said, "Do you have an opinion?" I said, "I don't handicap the NFL, but I think the Patriots are going to win 52-0. I think they completely lay over Carolina." So they lost both their starting safeties, the Patriots, and Carolina hit a bomb for a touchdown to tie the game late. The Patriots were right down the field and kicked the field goal. Belichick completely butchered it, which he did a lot more often than people talked about. But he completely butchered the game. There was 280 yards to 3 with a minute to go and a half. It was some complete mismatch. Okay? All right, so I lost. Fezzik gets on the radio show the next week. This is the Sunday Night Starters one, okay? It's 50,000 watts, so some people are listening to it. He says the following, that he doesn't know me from Adam. I never met this guy. I never heard of him. But a friend called me immediately and said, "Who the fuck is this guy Fezzik?" I said, "No idea." Well, he just said that you gave out a phony play on the NFL to try to manipulate the line. Now, number one, if anyone knows me, they know I wouldn't lie if it was no matter what. I just can't do it. I never deceived anybody in life. I never try to fuck anybody over in my life, ever. Not my MO. But to say that I'm on some local radio show trying to manipulate a Super Bowl line might be the number one dumb thing that's ever come out of anyone else, including Joe Biden. Now try and top that. Like, that's just impossible. That's what that fucking piece of shit did. I tried to play nice with him over the years, and he kept coming after me. He's a jealous fucking retard. He is completely on the shit list.
He is Mike's hero.
He's not my hero, dude.
Dude, you
Mike,
have
he's a complete idiot, Mike. Jesus, you should know better.
All right, I swear
No,
to
nothing.
God on my cat's soul that I have never followed one thing he's ever said. They make shit up because I listen to a bunch of podcasts and then if there's something that I like, I throw in what somebody said.
Mike, are you saying with a straight face right now that we can't present 100 different things on our app in our chat where you quoted Fezzik?
No, I said this straight out.
Mike,
All
that's
I
just
said
a
is-
lie.
That's
All
a lie.
I said, if you want, listen, I don't follow a guy who lays fucking 29-1 or 60-1 on Purdue as a 1 versus 16 and touted it as his best play and lost. Like
That
what
is
was it, 2 years
amazing.
ago?
He picked the money line. What was it? Woodley?
It was like minus 50. You know, it was like whatever. It was like minus
30 to 1 or
5,000.
something.
No, it was 5,000. And then he stood by it, and people were like, "But you understand now, your subs are going to have to win 50 units throughout the rest of the year to make up for that."
Well,
And
all right, so let's take it one step further. Suppose Purdue was actually 100-1 favorite in his eyes. What's the edge there? It's not much.
Right.
If you think
Exactly.
it's 100-1, you're laying 50-1. What's your edge?
Exactly.
Not much. I'm not a math
it's not
guy,
much
but it
at
ain't
all.
much, bro. So it ain't
Well, you
even
can't-
worth it.
And you can't give
no team could be 100-1. And plus, Purdue has been knocked out of that tournament a myriad of times early on because I can give reasons. We won't get into it because it take 10 minutes for the explanation. But that was a bad bet technically and fundamentally. Like it was just horrible. It was just not sound, and then mathematically it wasn't good. So he had it wrong in all ways, which is nothing unusual for him.
And you have a big following, so like,
All right, go make your pick, Woodley.
Yeah, make your pick, Woodley. Shut the fuck up and pick.
I like my UC San Diego to beat Michigan outright. I know that's like a pretty popular one, but I like that one. It's been kind of bouncing around there.
That's 2.5.
Plus one, yeah, but plus money line plus 125. And then I'm gonna go full homer, and I'm gonna take my Oklahoma Sooners to at least keep it close against UConn.
Woodley, you know the way we do things on the show. Let's discuss your first pick. Give it again.
Oh, okay. Well, you said both. Okay. The
sorry.
UC San Diego money line plus
Right.
124.
Okay, Alan, what do you think of that pick? You said okay, huh?
Yeah, I like that one. I think Michigan is not overly athletic. The way you're going to get Cal San Diego is to completely out athlete them because, like I said, that guy is the best coach in the country, bar none. Not even close. Like really, not even close. They're just he's an absolute miracle worker.
Do you worry about the size though? The only thing that gives me
Number two,
worry is like
Number two, Michigan played Sunday in the Big Ten tournament, and playing 3 bloodbaths in a row, and then traveling and then playing on a short prep is not going to work in their favor. And number 3, the line's too high. So yes, Cal San Diego is definitely the right way to go.
Sweet. I'm betting that. You know, I'm betting. Everything Alan says, I just fire. So all right, I just bet that too. When you have somebody of Alan's caliber and he gives an opinion, okay, that's great. Now, Woodley, what's your second pick? Because Alan's so good, we're just going to go right to it.
Yeah.
When did I become God here? It's really encouraging.
Oklahoma.
Dude, when it comes to college, when it comes to betting college basketball, you are God. Accept it.
No,
I don't. I'm old.
yeah.
Woodley, second pick.
Oklahoma.
I'm actually better at horse tournaments. I've cashed like 14 out of 17 horse tournaments. And I was discussing this with Mike. I watched that high rollers horse thing. I'll be entering every fucking horse tournament at the World Series this year. I don't have to rob somebody to get in it. They don't have a fucking clue about football games.
They really don't.
The announcers are doing their analysis like, it's limit poker, you moron.
I know.
That is,
Thank you.
I agree. It's the
I've
softest
been saying that
tournament.
forever. You got to play solid, man. You got to make the best hand.
Those 25 and 100 Ks,
Exactly.
they're so far
It's
off
really
in the
not
way they think
difficult.
about
You start with a
poker.
good hand and you pedal the nuts.
Yeah.
It's a
Exactly.
tournament. You can't be spewing chips with nonsense, but they don't understand what a fundamentally good hand is.
They really don't. Woodley, come on, give us your second pick because Alan's on a roll here.
I've tried to give it 5 times now.
What's your second pick?
I've said it. Oklahoma 5.5 versus UConn.
Oklahoma
I think
5.5
UConn's
versus
down.
UConn. Thoughts on that?
I don't think they're good enough. I absolutely love Porter Moser. I think the coach at Oklahoma is amazing. But UConn's been kind of in and out. I love Dan Hurley too. He's a complete fucking psychopath, but in a good way. He's going to be outcoached here slightly, but the talent gap is humongous, and UConn's had flashes of brilliance in the last couple of weeks. Like they're like almost getting it, and when they're good, they're really, really good. Obviously, they won back-to-back national titles. This team isn't there defensively, but I think they're just a little too good for Oklahoma. I think Oklahoma's in trouble. I do love Oklahoma. I do love the Oklahoma team, but they really are out-athleted here pretty badly.
Been playing well though recently, and I think 5.5 is kind of a lot though. I mean, they've looked good lately, but yeah,
they played well at the beginning of the year too, but they're not that good.
Yeah,
and they kind of backs were up against it at the end of the year, and they played well when they had to. But this is this is everyone's max effort, and Connecticut's best game is too good for Oklahoma's best game. But that doesn't mean part of running good is your team plays well when you bet on them.
You are so good for this fucking show. The energy level's way up, and your knowledge is amazing. So we're going to, rather than discuss these picks, because I don't know, I admit it, like I think I know something about the NFL, and I have a lot of fun. But the college basketball, and I will say this, the Golden State Warriors, I gave it 60-1 to win the championship, but that's another thing. Let's go to Cantu. Does anybody have an NCAA pick, Cantu?
Yes.
Because we have the best better in the world on the line.
The two picks that I'm going with are both field picks, like Boston said.
One at a time, Cantu, one at a time.
Yeah, I really look myself at the coaches, and I love St. John's. Pitino's my favorite coach as far as doing the full court press, all the things none of the other coaches do. Really runs those kids into the ground. I love it. Minus 18.5 against Omaha. What do you think, Boston?
I think the line's a little too high. But the Omaha had a home run year, but sometimes these mid-majors that have home run years, they come crashing down in the tournament. So it's certainly feasible, but I kind of think Omaha first half might work. And then, like you said, St. John's just might wear them down with the intensity and the depth and the talent. So I'm not involved, but
right.
I think the line is slightly high though, technically slightly high, but if St. John's beat them by 40, it wouldn't shock me.
Cantu, give us your second pick.
Second pick, I'm going with my hometown favorite team, Gonzaga, minus 5.5. I'm rolling with Mark Few against Georgia. What do you think, Alan?
I think I laid 4.5, pretty big actually. Yeah, I think that's a pretty strong bet. It's a complete coaching mismatch, and I think people forget that the point I was trying to make before, and this is a simple way of saying it, is Gonzaga is still Gonzaga. Yeah, maybe the results weren't up to snuff, but it's still Gonzaga. That's the whole point. It's still this elite coached team that runs just beautiful offense that's very, very difficult to deal with. They don't give away spit. And they're playing against Mike White, who's a complete moron. As a matter of fact, Cantu, we went to a game with your wife, or ex-wife, I should say, and we saw Mike White coach at Louisiana Tech. We went to the game at the Orleans.
Well, yeah, what was the game that we went to?
I don't remember that.
It was the
he was the coach then. The guy who was coaching Georgia now was there. It was like 20 years ago, a long time ago.
Yeah.
15 years ago, 16 years ago. It was a long time ago.
Yeah, what I've noticed about Gonzaga is every time that they are they have a bad seed, that's when they do really well. They whenever they have a 1 or 2, they falter a lot. Whenever they have that bad seed, it's like he gets them real fired up.
Well, this should be a good matchup for him too. Georgia's got some talent, but the guy coaching him is a moron. It's really, I think you got it right.
For the guys watching at home, I just flashed my picks. I bet everything that Alan said already. Bing, 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 bing. Mikey, what do you got for us? You don't have to go NC2A. Go anything you want.
I'm going to go NC2A since Alan's on the phone. I'm going to go with, because we talked a little bit earlier, and we're talking about how is Wisconsin a 3 seed. I'm going to take Montana plus 17. They just came off, like you just said, a grinding 3 days, short week. It's a lot of points. What do you think?
Yeah, I think the line's too high. The Montana coach is excellent. They had a very good year. They played their best ball at the end when they were entirely healthy. The one knock is this is not the old Wisconsin plotting 55-53 team, although it certainly appeared it when they played Michigan. But they played a more modernized offense.
Yeah, I
with
saw that the
with four, they have
Michigan
five guys
loss.
that can hit threes, and they can run up a lot of scores. But the Montana coach is very, very good. Wisconsin's not overly talented, and like I said, Montana will definitely be ready. The Big Sky has struggled in this tournament over the years. They've had some pretty poor results, and this is not a great representative of the Big Sky. But the guy's done well in the tournament before, and he's a very, very good coach. And the line is definitely too high, so I definitely would go that way.
Okay, and
Mike, I'm betting that as we talk. So that's Montana plus 17. I see it. I'm betting it.
And
Mike?
the other one, is I'm just going to go out on a limb here. Is something we talked about earlier. I'm going to take Liberty plus 7 against Oregon.
There's 7.5 around. Take that.
Yeah, 7.5. I'm sorry, that's what it is. I'm sorry. What do you think of that?
No, there is 7.5 at Pinnacle.
Yeah, I see it.
7.5
I see it here.
South Point.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a complete lock. I totally I love that. Would have been my fourth pick if I got to it. Totally agree.
Nice.
Great coach, very, very difficult style to deal with. Had success in a tournament prior. And Oregon has been. I mean, they started the year like a house of fire. They definitely showed ability. I think they beat Alabama on a neutral to win some tournament early in the year, but they really basically sucked the rest of the year. Their level wasn't very good. It's not some elite team. And Liberty, Richie McKay is terrific.
Yeah, I mean, I was doing a bunch of reading yesterday, and I heard that this Liberty team is really good, and they have a really good chance at an upset. So I kind of
Did Fezzik tell you that?
No, I just read different things and read seedings and I just like people felt like.
I think a little money line might be worth opting there.
Yeah,
Really?
And,
I like
and,
that.
and the article I read that said that Liberty's got a good chance to win outright. So I don't know nothing
I
about
agree with
college.
that. Their style is very tricky and very unique, and he tweaked his pack line defense, and they spread the floor very well. And the UTEP coach said this is the best team he's had there, and he's had some good teams there. So I do like Altman, the coach of Oregon. He's usually a very, very good tournament coach because he mixes a lot of defenses and makes it a tough prep. But Liberty is a dog. This game is going to be a very low game, and that's a mountain of points for a game that's probably going to be in the 50s. So. Yeah, I totally agree with that. I don't think it should be any more than 4. So I think that's a very, very strong bet.
Well, that's cool. See, I did some good. I know nothing about college basketball, but I did a lot of reading the last couple days, and that was what I came up with.
Okay, guys.
Excellent.
So I'm gonna switch gears. I'm gonna go to the NBA. So I luckily everything I say is bragging, Alan. Get used to it. I was on the floor yesterday with Joe.
I never knew that, Phil, actually. I thought you were always very humble. I'm really shocked.
I was on the floor.
You changed? My God.
I was on the floor yesterday with
How are your 33 companies doing, by the way?
My companies are doing well. I'm becoming very, very.
I told Alan today that you run 33 companies.
Really
I
amazing.
advise-
You have the energy to do this after running all those companies.
I advise 31 companies, but all of my deals will end in about February of 2026. So, at that point I can reload if I want to. And not every deal is active, Alan. But anyway, so I was lucky enough to have floor seats yesterday. And then Saturday night I was playing poker with Draymond at his place. I won 55,000. Yum, yum. But yesterday we had floor seats.
I know who he is.
And I will say this, the Warriors, it was so frustrating to watch sitting next to the owner that game because they just really couldn't catch it. Later, after the game, I heard the security guard say Steph was not feeling great, which made sense because he definitely had his worst game. He just wasn't hitting much. But then everybody's saying they feel sorry for the Bucks tonight. And I see the line is 3. So for me personally, I'm a little bit, so I'm just going to go.
Curry's not playing, right?
I see he's not playing, and that makes sense because I even talked to the owners yesterday. Like, oh, we didn't know he wasn't feeling good. The security guard said, oh, Steph was thinking about pulling himself, and I see he did pull himself. So then that leaves some. So then for me, I'm thinking about betting, and you might not be an expert on this, but Jimmy Butler looked awesome yesterday, and he's on the board at 20.5 points. I'm going to bet over 20.5 points on Jimmy Butler. He's so good. He's such a beast. To watch him in person, to watch Draymond throw those passes into him. And Jimmy's not that tall, and he just goes way up in the air, catches the ball. And he's just so steady, so consistent. So I'm going to go, my pick is going to be Jimmy Butler over 20.5 points. Alan, what do you think of that? Or you have an opinion or not?
He has no idea who he is. He doesn't.
I don't even know who he is.
Okay, that's fair.
I stopped watching the NBA years ago. I don't know how anyone could watch one play in the NBA. It's just, of course, college basketball is hard to watch too. Every game is ref differently. They don't call traveling anymore. I don't know what I'm watching.
I will say this about the NBA, Alan.
You can do whatever the fuck you want and get away with it.
The NBA had the worst ratings they've ever had, and then to me, this is what happened.
They deserve it.
And maybe I'll have the other guys weigh in on this. Maybe Cantu and Woodley and Mike can weigh on this. When Luka got traded,
I don't feel like playing. I'm making $50 million a year. I don't feel like playing tonight, so arrest me.
He's right.
It's not a motherfucker. Like seriously.
I know.
When Luka got traded,
I'm in Game 5 of the World Series. I'm too tired. Just cancel it till the next day. I don't feel like playing.
When Luka got traded, it was such a shock to the NBA that I think the ratings went way up. No one could believe that trade. So my way of looking at this, the NBA was struggling on ratings. Luka got traded, and all of a sudden there was massive
interest. That's a conspiracy theory, but a lot of people think that.
Mike, do you think that's the case? When he got traded, it just seemed like it just super boosted the ratings.
Yeah, but I don't think it was that it was. I don't think the NBA conspired for Luka to be traded to up the ratings. Yeah.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that's just my opinion. Cantu, any thoughts on that?
And to be honest, I hadn't watched an NBA game until then. I was so hot about that trade. It kind of got me, and I've been watching a few games ever since that. So it did
your
something.
Portland team's got a shot at the 10th.
I know. I'm excited.
The Suns are terrible.
Yeah.
I think that trade encapsulates everything that's wrong with the NBA and has been wrong with the NBA for a long time. It's just like, let's continue to feed the fucking Lakers. Like, let's not let any other franchise, ever get up there. I mean, here's the thing about Adam Silver. Right? David Stern was like a genius and had balls. Like, Adam Silver's the fucking worst. The guy, like, if Adam Silver had any balls whatsoever, he would have blocked that trade from happening. You think David Stern will let that
He's a
crap
libtard,
happen?
man. What do you want, man?
No, I mean,
It was ridiculous to allow that.
I mean,
Mike,
politics,
don't make it about politics.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous to allow that. I mean, like, you've just tanked the fucking Dallas franchise. Like, you've now made the Lakers relevant for another 20 years. I can't remember the last time the Lakers actually drafted a guy that helped build that team. All they do is they go and sign or trade for the best player and free agent. I think like Kobe was the last one, and they traded for Kobe. Even Kobe was able to politic his way into getting the Lakers. So I mean, this is why a lot of fan bases don't really care. Like, I'm a Timberwolves fan. I've started watching again because they've won 9 out of their last 10. But I mean, again, this
what
is
a horrible
why
loss they took yesterday. Oof.
That's what happened. By the way, that's
matter.
what happened to baseball. Free agency completely crippled baseball.
Yeah,
baseball.
baseball's a
You
joke.
have no allegiance to players. Like, people get allegiance. Like, when I was a kid, I grew up with Collier Yastrzemski and Tony Conigliaro and all these Red Sox guys, and I knew them all because they would stay with the Red Sox. They came up through the farm system. They played for the Red Sox.
I mean, how does baseball not have a salary cap? It's insane.
Yeah, it's really baseball's my favorite sport, and I know we're kind of drifting off here, but this year I've never been more apathetic because it's just like Mike's Dodgers and Mike's Lakers, Mike's Dodgers. I don't even know how you compete against it. Like, they just sign every.
It's
big
unbelievable.
free
It's a
agent.
joke. Even I'm.
It's a joke because they don't even have to pay him for 20 years or 10 years or whatever it is.
Like, are you?
They're everything I used to think about the Yankees, and I hated the Yankees for it. So,
Mike, are you even going to care if they win the World Series this year? Like, our Dodgers
I
fans,
cared last year. No, if they win this year, it'd be like, oh, well, duh, they're supposed to win.
Yeah, I think the only story is if they don't, and then they're big chokers. But I think that's the only storyline in MLB this year, and I think that's wrong with the sport. And I would say NBA, yeah, when the playoffs get here, it'll be great. But the entire story this year is how the Lakers lockboxed into getting arguably one of the best 5 players in the NBA. That's only 25 years old, and I don't know. There's a lot wrong with it.
Well, he's definitely one of the top 5 players. Come on, Luka.
Yeah, and Anthony Davis is number 6.
And he's old. No, he's not. But my point, Phil, is he's top 5 and he's 25. It's not like he's 32 and gonna go downhill. I mean, he's got 7-8 more years of pretty good play. So I don't know. I don't know. It's bad. It's. I don't know how you fix it.
What's your second
this just
pick
proves
there,
to me,
Phil?
My second pick, I'm going with Podzinski over 11.5 points tonight. Pods. He had the night off last night. I noticed, and so I think he's capable of putting up 30 when he. By the way, last night for me it was also fun to watch Gary Payton He's so playful. He's so fun. There's so much great energy on the Warriors teams. If you watch them warm up, Steph is playing to the fans, throwing the ball in the stands. I mean, they're putting on a show, and I love that great
That's what
energy.
the NBA is. That's why it's unwatchable.
I love that great show that they're putting on.
One note on your pick, Phil. I've always been a big believer in energy, and back in when I first started betting college basketball, it was way more relevant. But the fitness has become a lot more elite and a lot more relevant for basketball. You'd never see a basketball player in a weight room now; they won't stay out of it. And also, what kids played 3 different sports, 3 different years. They played football in the fall and hockey in the winter and baseball in the spring. Now they pick a sport and go with it 365 a year. So playing 9 games in 5 days in an AAU event is no big deal. So when they get on to college and pros, they have the energy to sustain longer what they couldn't do before. However, it still is very, very important and relevant that the guy had the night off last night. I think that would be something to look at. It's obvious, right, to bet on a rested player, but I think that is far more important than people would give it credit to if they build models or anything.
Thanks for that. I got word that
massively important.
I got word that I think that we some of our Brazilian friends have been up here, playing high stakes poker with us, and so they felt like Guy Santos was going to, start the other night. So I bet a lot of money on Santos over 4.5 points, which was lucky because the line changed to 5.5. He hit for 5. I also bet over 3.5 rebounds. So I couldn't help but think about Guy Santos. And I know probably you don't watch this, Alan, but Guy Santos, he's an energy guy. I love
What team is he on? What team is he on?
The Warriors, bro. But he's an energy.
Never heard of him.
Mike, if you watch the Warriors, you can't miss this guy. You know how they have these energy guys that just show up and energize the team? That's Guy Santos for the Warriors. He's just been really fun to watch. He's a Brazilian guy. So anyway, I'm just commenting on the Warriors.
So what I'm talking about is like how much energy you have for that game. And Cronin, for sure, UCLA dumped in the Big Ten tournament because Cronin wanted to preserve the energy for the NCAA tournament. That's why I mentioned these teams that play on Sunday may have a bit more of a struggle than others because they played hard on one less day's rest than the rest of them. And that matters. It matters more than people realize. We're human beings. We have this limited amount of energy. And how much you extend, like the World Series of Poker, is it not harder to play now when it's 8, 9, 10 days than it was when it was 3 days?
Oh yeah,
right. It's not just physical energy; it's mental energy. It's focus. Yeah. I'm 66. I don't have the resolve I once had. At times, I'm very, very good at basketball, and at times, I just don't have the energy to read that extra 10 minutes, to dig into the game, to think about it. So. Yeah, I think energy is massively important, but not just on a one-day thing. It could be on an extended thing. They talked about the West Coast, East Coast travel for the stupid Big Ten conference that's all over the fucking country and how much harder that is. UCLA hasn't won a game. Their record east of the Mississippi is a losing record for one of the winningest programs in the world.
Yeah.
Because that is it's
ridiculous. As soon as I heard the realignment, I thought it was
changes,
ridiculous.
But the energy extended doing all this. You're on an airplane for 6 hours. That ain't easy if you're 6'10".
No.
Bro, I will say this. That my friends and I are starting to develop new theories about just how tiring it is to be on airplanes. And I don't know. For me, I mean, I'm always tired lately, and I've been doing way too much traveling. I'm flying down Friday.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard.
Yeah.
There's sitting there
the
stagnant.
jet lag is not just time zone changes.
You have to fly JetBlue Mint. That's the only way to go, obviously. Like that's fucking ridiculous. That little pod with the lie down seat, that's awesome. But it still wears you.
Yeah.
Hey, Alan, if you had to, like you said, you have 40-1 on Florida, so we'll be pulling for you. A lot of people think there's like 3 or 4 teams that really have a shot to win. You think there's more? Like who do you really think has a shot to win this tournament?
Well, I mean, the obvious favorites are Duke, Florida, and Auburn.
Okay.
Interestingly enough, they're all coached by Jews. So there you go, Mike.
There you go.
Go Jews.
Go Jews.
3 Jewish head coaches in the NCAA tournament with the top 3 teams. Like that's just weird. Just an aside. We got to brag a little bit.
Yeah.
All right, the Yids got to brag. Anyway, those are the 3 obvious. But the other teams that could win are Alabama for sure, their best game is very, 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 very tough to deal with.
Alabama's
Yeah,
21 to not 21 to
teams.
21 right now. 21 to win.
21.
Yeah, they kind of tape it off a little bit, but you know, they're still an elite team. Their defense is way better than it usually is. Nate Oates is very, very, very good. And you know, when you're a small underdog and you shoot a lot of threes, it only takes you know, a couple of good shooting days and you win. So
Alan,
Alabama is definitely a threat to win the whole thing.
Alan, so I'm going to bet that I'm going to bet Alabama 21 because I'm betting everything you say, but also I think that's going to be fun
no,
because
you just asking for the teams that can win. I'm not saying it's a good bet. I'm just, although 20 to 1.
yeah, but
Who
I
else you
like
think
it. I like it. If they have a chance to win, they make the Final Four. You can start laying off a little bit. That's all.
Who else you think could win, Alan?
I think Texas Tech has a chance to win. Their one knock is their rim protection's a little lacking, but and they're a little banged up. If they
I
get
read
all their
something
players back,
good about them, by the way. Also,
if they get all their players back, they run elite offense. McCaslin is a genius. Again, the lack of rim protection is a little daunting and may get them, but he is such a great coach and has very, very good talent. And they're the one team. They went on the road. They went into BYU and won. They went into Kansas and won. They went into Houston and won. Now, anyone that could do that can win the NCAA tournament. And you know, I'm actually just talking off the top of my head, but I'd be curious to see what they are because that's
31.
It kind of just hit me like, why not?
31.
They are like a 5.5 point dog to the better teams, but that doesn't mean they can't beat them.
Right.
yeah.
So which one do you like a little bit more? Do you like
Alabama
Alabama or Texas Tech? I'm betting them both anyway. Fuck it, but
Phil just bets.
Well, I mean, I'm just throwing some possibilities out there.
Phil's gonna have
I think Florida's going to win. But, you know, that's what I'm
I
rooting
think
for.
Florida's going to win too.
You
I
ask
think
who else
you're
can
gonna
win. I'm telling you that these teams have a chance. Even Iowa State, like they lost.
That's
a player,
Woodley's team.
That might be a bit of a stretch.
Well, you know what?
I
You know
don't
what,
think
Alan? I
Gonzaga's
was
enough.
reading
You know
that
what?
Gilbert.
You know else has a chance for all you LA guys? UCLA.
Interesting.
really,
Alan,
think
I was
UCLA
reading that Gilbert,
got a pretty big
even though he
upside.
has
And they have an amazing coach on the sideline who understands things at a level that most of them don't. That's a long shot for sure.
160 to 1 UCLA.
The better teams. But Cronin in his pressers has talked about how reading between the lines, he likes this team. And they've shown flashes of brilliance. And that's a bit of a stretch, but that's another team I think that could make a big run and even
160
maybe
to 1 is a pretty good stretch. But, you know.
Yeah. I love it though.
And you think
Alan,
Houston, you think
You need
Houston
outside the
also,
box
right?
thinking, right? If everyone copies what everyone else does, then you're always going to be second best.
Yeah.
You have to be outside the box. You have to be different. Anything great has been different.
I agree with you.
That's why all these people want to just copy computers with poker. You're always second best to everyone else who does it better. Come up with your own shtick.
Yeah.
That's what allows you to win, right, Phil? You're not some fucking poker genius, but you have this second level instinct that's really, really, really good.
That's right. And
You have
I
some
think you have to do it
energy
your
or-
way. I
or-
also think that studying the right way is a huge thing. So people study the wrong way in poker. They really do. So luckily, but they don't have access. Like I can talk to the best stud editor player in the world. I can talk to the best. They will actually take my call and give me advice. And so these little tidbits really add up. And so, you know,
Absolutely.
yeah. And so, I mean, I think
I
that's,
still call Artie Cobb a stud editor better questions. Artie Cobb's 80-something years old. By the way, he should be in the Poker Hall of Fame. It's fucking egregious that he's not in there. Disgusting, actually.
he was,
The guy
now
who's
Artie
won the
Cobb
World
was,
Series. He's final tabled like in 6 different decades. He's got 5 bracelets. Like, come on. The guy's a fucking legend.
he also, not only that, he was also tournament director at the World Series of Poker, right?
He ran it under Eric Drake when it first started.
Right.
But he's final tabled every single decade. He's made a final table. He's in his 80s now. He still cashed last year. He played a stud tournament in cash.
That's pretty
in his
strong.
80s.
That's strong.
He has 5 bracelets, I think. The guy's like revered by everybody. You know, the young kids don't know him, but how the hell is he not in? It's crazy. Like, it's completely crazy.
And there was a lot
Mike
less tournaments.
Matusow would say, how the hell am I not in?
Maybe someone has
Well,
some
I mean, it's
influence
just
talking about
politics, man. It's like the thing. Unfortunately, what they've done is what have you done for me lately? So if somebody has a big World Series, they're like they just put them in. You know, if somebody dies, they put them in. You know, that's what they do.
Yeah, that's great. That's so typical of the world, right? They see only the recent. They don't look at big pictures. That's like a real
Exactly.
flaw in this world is people do not look at big pictures.
That's what you're
Exactly.
preaching, Alan. Recency bias, and that's why you think the brackets are all fucked up. And the brackets being fucked up might be good for the
I think the
tournament in
brackets are
some
fucked
ways.
up, and I think they're trying to get the money to the right place. I think it's just corrupt.
There's going to be a lot of upsets though, because when the
doesn't work
brackets are
out.
fucked up.
Yeah, the seedings are completely ridiculous. But, you know, it's still a great tournament. They can't fuck the tournament up. And the only way they will fuck the tournament up is if they start eliminating the Cinderella. That's my contention. I don't have to be right. That's my opinion as a longtime fan. But you had me to come on to give opinions, and mine will be a little outside the
Alan,
box. But
I'm gonna bring something up for
I'm
you.
not an idiot.
Alan,
so-
I'm going to bring something up for you. They're having this contest on Splash Sports. It's I don't think I can stake you in the $5,000 buy-in because it's a lot of my friends are in that one that's more private. But they have this great contest where you have to pick. It's a survivor pool for the NCAA tournament. So then I think the way I'm thinking about it is your first round games, you have to pick Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. That's 4. But I'm thinking you use the 3 seeds, and then because you need to save the 2 seeds and the 1 seeds for a little bit later. It's a pretty interesting format. Any thoughts off the top of your head? Does it make sense to you to use 3 seeds or 4 seeds right away?
I'd have to look at the brackets, and the 3 seeds shouldn't be 3 seeds. So it's
Okay, let me be more direct. I'm using Wisconsin with all of my picks in the first round. They're 17-point favorites. Hopefully they win. You like Wisconsin?
that makes sense. That makes sense. But they don't have a curve going far. But that makes sense, right? That's exactly how you should think about it.
Okay, thank you.
Who's
for
a
that.
big favorite that's not going to go far that I can use?
Yeah.
Right? You don't want to use. You're right. Like you said, you don't want to use the top guns because you want them for the last game. You
Alan,
want the Dukes, the Floridas, the Auburns for the last game.
if you're interested,
Well, you have to hit the winner.
Wisconsin's a
You have to have the
Wisconsin's a very
winner.
good pick. Yeah.
Alan, if you're
Yeah, you have
interested,
to have,
And I would probably even save Texas. I would probably save Texas Tech too. I probably wouldn't use them because I think they're very good. I think they're one of the
Okay.
top 5 teams. So
Alan, if you're interested,
I wouldn't use them so quick either.
Alan, if you're interested, I'll buy you in for 10 picks on the Splash Sports or 20 picks in the $100 buy-in contest, and you can manage it, and I'll just give you 50%. Also, as a way for dropping such great information, if you want to do that, I'll just give you a free roll.
Well, you'll have to explain to me how it's done. And
It's $1 million guarantee, so it's kind of fun.
I suck with computers.
It's
The modern world and I do not resonate.
It's $1 million for first
Pretty
still?
good.
I think, well, that's why I have to
That's
be
not
careful.
brilliant, actually. I like
Yeah.
that.
It's $1 million. It's $1 million guaranteed.
$1 million for first for a $100 buy-in?
Yes.
Fucking.
Well, I mean,
Put Alan in.
it
Let's
might get
go.
chopped.
Insane.
It might get chopped, but yeah.
Hey, what a
yeah.
great story that would be.
It's likely it's a favorite to get chopped. That's for sure. $1 million guarantee. Jesus Christ.
Well, okay, yeah, there'll be that many players, but then in round 2 you start making 2 picks per day. So it could, that's a lot. That's a lot
It's
for a
fine.
survive.
It's very doable. It's not hard. If
Yeah.
I see a bracket, I can map it out.
Well, it's going to be fun. I'm
Obviously,
gonna
I'll get a bracket and I can look at it on the plane ride tomorrow night.
Alan, I'll tell you that I'll put you in for 50 fucking picks, $5,000. We'll split it 50-50. And
Mike,
this would be
man.
a story if Alan
slow
Boston
down.
wins this.
All right. Yeah, Alan Boston, yeah. The over-the-hill, dementia-laden handicapper.
No,
You're the
Alan,
best,
see, now we're the ones that are supposed to be like, I wanted this podcast to be named Fade This or like Fade Us or whatever, because we never claimed we were,
Yeah, I like that.
great at this. You know what I mean? But we can
Yeah,
claim
Fade
you are
This
great
is
at
taken a
this.
bunch of different ways, though. That's actually a good name.
And Mike, I think, started the
Outside
podcast
box, no name
0-8.
went crazy.
Alan, he made 2 picks a week. He started 0-8. He did heat up a little bit at the end.
We
but
had
it
to
was-
we never thought he was going to win a
And
game.
my
Well,
instinct, when
you're
you talk
gonna
about
get
instincts,
worse.
I
He
insisted.
heated up. He was
that
0-8.
My,
Very good.
hey, what? I want you to say straight out in week 7, did I not say the Eagles were the best team in the NFL and it wasn't even close? Did I not say that in week 7?
I don't think it was week 7,
It
Mike.
was week 7.
More like 10.
It's like maybe week 14.
Mike,
Go.
14.
I'm
Let's
sure
go
you-
back. You want to bet it was week 7? Let's bet some money.
Mike, you
Oh,
say,
God,
but you
who
say
cares?
Who
everybody's a great team.
cares?
Whatever.
Mike did get the
Instinct.
Super Bowl
Mike
right.
got it
I
right.
told you guys that fucking I said they have no left tackle and the Eagles were going to kill him. Oh, we don't need a left tackle. Yeah. Okay. How'd
You know
that
what was
work out?
annoying, Mike? I'm going to tell you what was annoying for me is somebody came up to me and they said, "Boy, oh boy, 3Coin came up to me. You know, for the poker players, they know 3Coin, and he's been filming a lot. He came up to me and he said, "Boy, that Mike Matusow sure is smart at sports. He knew it was going to be the Eagles." And I was like, "Oh my God." And I said, "Yeah, he's smart." I didn't want to argue with him, but
I mean, I did take a pretty bad bait. I had under 17.5 Kansas City getting 3.5 to 1, and they couldn't score 17 points in another lifetime, but they gave back-to-back
bad.
touchdowns in the last minute and a half somehow.
yeah. Hey,
I will
Alan.
say I watched a couple weeks of playoff games, and I said the Eagles is going to kill them at the line of scrimmage. Like this is like the alternative line's the way to go. Eagles minus 17.5 plus 550.
Yeah, lay all the big numbers. I said
what I
everything is it's the line of scrimmage, dude. And the Eagles front four was
Everything's the line of scrimmage, exactly.
Exactly.
Hey,
What made
Alan.
Tom Brady so great? I would argue he was a choke, but he had all day to throw, and he was accurate. So
Yeah.
Listen, I couldn't believe
won't go there,
I'm a Jalen Hurts fan, and I'll tell you this: watching the way he handled himself when he got
was
kicked
great.
out at Alabama, watching the way he handled, like
I look up to the guy. The guy's the hardest
he just
worker,
works
man.
hard and and I don't hear him complaining publicly, which I think is pretty impressive.
exactly, that's it in a nutshell. These motherfuckers who make $20 million a year and get to play sports and are complaining, fuck
Right.
them.
Fuck them. I
Let
agree.
them go fucking work 9 to 5 in some coal mine. See how they like it.
I'm gonna throw a shout out to my guy. I'm gonna throw a shout out to my guy David Lee.
Oh, this guy knocked me in the newspaper. Well, too fucking bad.
I'm going to
Yeah,
throw a shout
they
out to my guy,
fucking
David Lee. When Draymond Green, and I'm friends with David and Draymond, when Draymond ended up taking his job, David Lee stood there like a fucking man, clapped for the team, gave everybody high, like he manned up. And I think David Lee handled himself well, but that was, of course, a long time ago, 2014. All right. Now, Alan, do you have any more? Is there anything else? Any other observations you might have? Any other picks you might want to throw out there?
Let me pull the thing back up.
Could be any sport, by the way.
On Sunday, and
He only watches college.
we
He
mentioned
loves
Liberty,
tennis.
so that's good.
Boston loves
St. Francis.
tennis.
I do have Alabama State. That's not good.
You got a
actually.
tennis pick for us?
I had Jack Draper last week. I haven't looked at the tennis yet. I'll start handicapping tennis when the season's over, and I'll lose, but I'll enjoy it. I'm basically a degenerate with talent. That's Boston.
Woodley, you got anything NASCAR for us?
You guys got most. I think Yale plus 7.5 is one of the only other ones I bet, and that doesn't really
I looked at that
exist
one too.
anymore.
That was my third.
Okay,
best
I'm
pick.
betting that right now. Yale plus 7.5.
When I saw the
doesn't
line, I'm
exist. I
like,
don't think
why
there's
would this
any
line be? I said that this line being 7.5 is telling you that Yale's the right side.
Who's Yale
Why do you
playing? I
like Yale
forget.
plus 7.5?
That's probably okay.
Oh.
Yeah, the coach for Yale is amazing, and this team won a game in the tournament last year. They beat Auburn last year, and A&M is very limited. They play to the top of their rating, and they have nowhere to go but down. They're not elite talent-wise, and you got to be elite talent-wise. It's a kind of a common theme with some of these mid-majors who play with such intelligence and don't give away anything. That if you can't out-athlete them, you're not going to outsmart them. And if you can't outsmart them in a game where every possession matters, the dog always has a shot. And Yale is certainly a terrific program with a really, really classy, smart head coach. So, and they ain't playing that much. It definitely has a good shot.
I got a question for you. I was just looking at these lines. Like, I heard about how high scoring BYU is and how good they are, and they're only like 3 against VCU. I mean, does that tell you that VCU might be the right side, or why
Yeah,
is
I
that
bet
line so
VCU.
small? Yeah, you did. I figured it might be.
I bet VCU. The only knock to VCU is they kind of stunk until they got into conference, and if their conference just was really down this year, and they got in, their rating got inflated because they beat up on a bunch of crap. Which, by the way, is certainly a possibility in the ACC. Like, there's a chance that Duke and Clemson and even North Carolina maybe are a tad overrated because the ACC was so bad this year. Louisville also that they may all. That's the one knock to Duke is they did lose to Kansas on a neutral court early in the year. They lost to Kentucky on a neutral court earlier in the year.
Yeah.
There's a chance they're not as elite as people think. They did go to Arizona and kill them, but so they probably are that elite, but. if the ACC
Well, I mean, we
overall is
know
overrated.
Florida's elite. We just watched what they did.
They lost to Seton Hall. They lost to Nevada Reno. Those are bad teams. But they were just home run in the conference. They won in Dayton, which is impossible. They won in St. Joe's, which is impossible. So they have really good wins. And BYU's not some great team. Yeah, they can bomb in threes, but VCU's defense is very, very good. The coach is excellent. I think it's closer to a pick'em game than 3.
I saw this line. I said, this seems off here.
Woodley, you like anything for the NASCAR this weekend or no?
Yeah, I like Blaney 7-1.
Blaney at 7-1.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he's running.
Who won the Vegas? Who won the Vegas race?
That was
Was it anybody you picked?
Josh Berry. It was pretty wild. No, it was pretty wild. There was like a wreck at the end, and it kind of jumbled everything up. But he was probably like 60-1, I think.
Wow.
So that was a long shot.
And I saw our friend Denny Hamlin had a really great weekend, but not racing.
That was
that's
crazy.
incredible. You should tell. Yeah,
He had 3 jackpots, 3 slot jackpacks, and then like the backstory was Jason White is a friend of ours, a great friend of ours that we love, friend of the show, friend of all of us. And Jason White is really good friends with Denny and Michael Jordan and all these guys. And Jason White said that Denny's manager told him.
Do you like name dropping, or am I naive?
No, that's what Phil does.
Okay. Just checking.
Hey, I got a question for you, Alan. Do you think that you guys, everybody's like raving about this UC San Diego? Do you think that the UNLV's got a shot at getting him?
I don't think they know they should get him. I think that's the problem. Most of these, the fact that they made the NCAA tournament will work in his favor. Most of these athletic directors don't know diddly shit, and they hire these firms that don't know diddly shit either. Really? I project what I think a team's rating should be, and when the coach beats it by a lot, he's probably done a really good job. And this guy is he's made, what's the cliche? He's made chicken out of chicken shit, or.
I mean, the line tells you they're the right side.
He does
you got
not
the team. The team that won the Big Ten's only 2.5 point favorites.
You're going to be completely blown. Their defense is absolutely fantastic. They never take a bad shot ever. They have a good shot, they get a better one. It's their offense is just they spread the floor beautifully. They like never make a mistake. It's crazy.
That team is so good. I mean, it's like I'm telling you, like
the line tells you how good they are. I mean, Michigan just won the Big Ten tournament, and they're 2.5.
What's funny is Michigan.
Yeah, they probably should be closer to pick. If I'm being honest.
Yeah, Michigan, but Michigan shouldn't have been a 5 seed. It should have been like a 4 seed.
Well, we talked about that being Alan earlier. That how do you? He thought that Wisconsin was like should never be a 3 seed.
It's amazing.
No, but all the seedings are wrong. They got all the seedings wrong. Mississippi is a 6 seed. Are you kidding me?
They also do this.
Really be in the tournament. They get it all wrong, but it's irrelevant. It'll be a great tournament, and hopefully we have some winners. And
who's a really good team that you just stay away from? You think they're real terrible, real poorly coached, overvalued,
that's
gonna choke.
Overvalued and poorly coached. I mean, Arkansas is not well coached, but I don't think they're overvalued. I don't think Kansas is well coached, but I don't think they're overvalued. I don't think they're overvalued anymore. North Carolina is horribly coached, but they're not overvalued. So the combo is hard to deal with because usually poor coaching at this point of the year, the line makers have caught up with it. You know who I think is going to crash? Auburn.
I think so too.
Really? I kind of do.
Auburn and Tennessee.
I kind of do also. They faded a lot at the end.
Yeah, there's some good outside the box shit. Auburn and Tennessee. Rick Barnes has never done really much. I guess he made the Final Four a couple of years ago, but his in-game adjustments aren't very good, and his half-court offense is kind of disgusting. So I could see them going out early, and Bruce Pearl is in my mind no genius. And again, they're prone to taking a lot of bad shots. He does have elite talent though, and the defense is really, really good. But I could see them having a bad game from the outside and going out too. So, and they kind of level off near the end of the year. So maybe those two are a little overrated.
So if you think Auburn might crash, then who would step up in that bracket?
I don't know who's in any bracket. I honestly don't.
Oh, okay.
You're looking at me here. I'll give it to you. It's Boston. We got Michigan State as the 2, Iowa State is the 3, and Texas A&M is the 4, Michigan the 5.
Oh, that's a really weak bracket. Iowa State, then. That's the best of those teams. Michigan
Woodley's
State's
going
not
to
any
love
good.
that. Woodley is a major, our guy here is a
Well-
major Iowa State fan.
Everybody's down.
Yeah, they got a good. They got the UNLV guy, Otzelberg. He's really good. They lost Gilbert for the year, though. He definitely matters, but they got plenty in reserve. They'll be fine. They're very, very good.
I was reading about
five for
Gilbert
sure.
though. Gilbert has some decent numbers in terms of minutes and points, but he's actually terrible. He turns the ball over more than anybody. He doesn't really play much defense. And what's interesting is he wasn't there in the Big 12 tournament. They scored plenty without him. I mean, it's I don't know if you watched that BYU game, but that game was incredible. And they were shooting lights out. I think them getting Lipsy back.
Yeah,
Lipsy's more important in my opinion.
That was I lost a fortune on that one. But they were down the other guy too, Iowa State. They were down the other guard who actually probably doesn't matter.
Lipsy, yeah.
Lipsy, he's ready for the tournament. Yeah. So I don't know the players that well. Honestly, I don't. I just know teams and coaches and what level they should play to. I keep it as simple as I can because there's 370 fucking teams and I'm only one person. It's hard enough. It's hard enough when I was 35. Never mind, I'm 66. But
well, Mike
Iowa State. I mean, that might be something sneaky. That's a very easy bracket. The seeding there must be some good team that's misseeded there. Michigan. Forget about Michigan. They ain't going nowhere.
6 is Ole Miss. 7, you got Marquette. You got Marquette at 7. Louisville the 8. Creighton the 9. New Mexico the 10.
No, that's all bad. No, they're all useless. No, that's a really easy bracket. Wow. So maybe Auburn won't crash out, but if they do, then it's Iowa State for sure.
Well,
I like Iowa State.
I wonder what they are to win the whole thing. That's kind of
36 to 1.
Really
36 to 1.
36 to 1. 36 to 1. They're going to play Michigan State. You said, well, they're like 3.5 point favorites over Michigan State. So 3. They're more like 3. So they're $1.60, and then they're probably a 3.5, 4 point dart to Auburn. And then they're in the finals, right? They're in the Final Four. Yeah, that's probably, you might be better off parlaying the money line, but no, because if Auburn, but who's going to knock Auburn out? That's the problem. Even if they played bad, they'll probably win.
Yeah,
that's the problem.
They probably have the easiest bracket of all.
That is something.
Creighton, Michigan.
Yeah, I think
Florida
Florida actually does because they don't have any Iowa States in their bracket. They have St. John's, who's not as good as Iowa State.
Hey, Alan, who has who has the top athletes? Which team would you say is the highest paid, but who has the best athletes?
I'm not a good person to ask that, but I would venture to say probably Duke, actually.
Yeah.
Probably
hey,
Duke,
I got one more question for you. Does Connecticut have any
Duke
chance? I know they had a lot of bad losses.
He's got some high mid-major transfers. Like he makes a mountain out of a molehill.
Is Connecticut has no chance this year, or do they have a chance?
No, I wouldn't say that. They've had flashes of brilliance. I think they're. I mean, Hurley has gone ballistic over the team's defense, and at times it's really been shoddy. But they've had halves of basketball where they looked unbeatable.
Yeah.
Hey, Alan, Iowa State.
They're definitely down because they had to be down. They had the all-time great team last year. I never had a team rated as high as them as last year's team. That's the all-time greatest college basketball team since I've been doing this.
Yeah, they were really.
They were
good.
unbelievable. Did they not? I don't think
they won every game by 20 points in the whole tournament.
Yeah.
I went to the game where UConn played Gonzaga and they beat them by like 40. I think it was in the round of 8 or something like that. Round of 4.
That was another one. The short rest where Connecticut had a very easy game and Gonzaga had a brutally tough game, and they don't have much depth, and it just got them. But that's the kind of thing I was talking about with energies, where Connecticut was able to rest their players because it was so far ahead, and Gonzaga starters played the whole ran the whole gamut there, and then only had a 1-day prep. And Connecticut is so physical and put so much heat on here that they cracked. And once you crack, that's it. It's almost like tilting in poker. Like you lose all control.
You can't get back. You can't get it back. Yep.
Been there.
Very similar.
Woodley, you have a question for Alan about Iowa State?
I was going to say they're 7.5 to win the region, which I kind of like.
Yeah. So let's see. They're you can't count a couple of the rounds because you just got to add a little at the end. So what did I say? They're $1.60 favorite over Michigan State. That's Michigan State doesn't lose, which they could. They're really not very good. And then yeah, that seems fair. Right, 8 out of 13 times 1 out of 3 is 8 out of 39. So 31 to 8 plus add a little bit on. Yeah, so probably 5.5 to 1's closer to what I think the truth is.
Wow, I like that, Boston. I loved you taking us into your mind right there. That was kind of fun, right?
Cantu, you were right. You were right. Like this whole show has just been a pleasure to hear Alan, to hear someone that knows so much about a subject. It's like I was lucky enough to be at a dinner Thursday night with with a guy who's doing AI for drug discovery. And to hear him talk about it, I learned so much. And so Alan doesn't like the praise. He's like, "Fuck you, Phil. Fuck you. I'm not that good." You are that good, Alan, and we love you. And I think we're going to just wrap this up.
And I do need to go, so.
Alan, I look forward to you being with us next week on camera. You add a lot of energy to the show. I love it. Thank you so much for your picks. Alan Boston,
Thank
everybody.
you so much.
I will keep my shirt on. I don't want all the women losing their minds out there, so we'll do that. And
Thanks, Alan, for coming on the show.
Yeah, Alan, you're amazing.
Really good
Thank
to have
you.
you on.
you all be good.
All right.
Thanks, Alan.
Later, Alan.
Be good, Cantu.
Thanks. Have a good one.
cheers.
Take care.
Guys, fantastic having Alan Boston on the show. The knowledge that he has in college basketball is incredible. He's been studying it for 50 years. And so I really enjoyed that. And I'm just on my phone trying to keep up. I bet this, I bet this, I bet this, I bet this.
And the good thing is, too, is like he's had a really good bounce back year. He was telling me that, and he's been really struggling for a long time. So, God bless him.
And
Good for
great
him.
honor. The poker world knows how honorable he is, and you could hear some of that. So, Alan, thank you so much. We look forward to having you next week. Guys, goodbye.